It had been pouring rain since morning. Today was Megan's first day as a babysitter at the Gamble family's house. She called her mom to let her know she had arrived safely. Her mom was a bit suspicious. After all, Megan was recently caught with her boyfriend. Megan reassured her mom and hung up the phone. Suddenly, she heard a strange noise coming from the basement. Out of curiosity, she followed the sound downstairs and found a photo of the Gamble family lying on the stairs. As Megan went deeper, she was horrified to see Mrs. Gamble chewing on her own child. In terror, Megan tried to escape, but Mr. Gamble slammed the basement door shut, and the next sound was Megan's desperate scream. 5 days earlier, Ben woke up with a jolt while riding the bus. An elderly woman sitting next to him looked at the drawings on his plaster and playfully asked, "Are you an artist?" Sleepy-eyed Ben didn't respond. After getting off at the bus stand, Ben went to buy something from a nearby shop, but since the shopkeeper wasn't there, he tried to take advantage of the situation. But the shop's dog was very clever. After all, it wasn't as corrupt as humans. Back at home, seeing the photos on the fridge, Ben realized how much distance had grown between his parents over time. During dinner, Liam gifted Ben a second-hand bicycle, but Ben scoffed and said, "What's the point? Mom's already giving me a car." Liam didn't argue. After staying with his mom for so long, Ben had forgotten how to value love. Liam had neighbors, Abby and Day, a happy couple with 2 children. Liam greeted them with a morning wish and headed off to work with Ben. Liam owned a boating house business. Even though it was Ben's first day there, a small argument broke out with some guests since he was a local boy. But since it was his dad's boat, the guests left eventually. To lift his mood, Mallory showed up. She worked there and was a very cool, talkative girl who loved to chat. Meanwhile, Ben got a call from his mom and noticed his dad being close to another woman. They seemed quite intimate. On the other hand, Abby had taken Dylan for a jungle trek. Dylan got busy taking photos of the forest. Suddenly, he heard his mother calling from inside the jungle. As he moved ahead, he realized the sound was coming from within a tree trunk. Dylan stood there, confused. The voice suddenly distorted, and as he looked inside the hole, he saw a hand. Just then, Abby returned. Dylan didn't say anything and turned around, only to find that the tree had vanished. On their way back home, Abby brought the deer back, planning to cook its meat. But as soon as she cut open its belly, she was shocked. The inside of the deer had completely rotted. That night, Ben was playing the guitar and glanced over to the house next door. Just as the moment was starting to feel special, a baby started crying, and the moment was lost. It was a windy night. A gust of wind blew off the plastic cover on the deer, revealing something crawling out from its belly. The time was around 2 a.m. Ben suddenly woke up hearing footsteps on the roof. He grabbed a torch and went outside. Though he couldn't see anything, he tried hard to find the source but saw nothing. As he moved closer to Abby's house, he noticed part of the basement's exterior wall was broken. He shone his torch inside but saw nothing and returned home, only to find a shadowy black figure sitting in front of the door, its eyes glowing. Just then, Day turned on the light, and as it flashed in Ben's eyes, the strange creature vanished. In the morning, before heading to work, Ben saw Dylan going near the broken part of their house and warned him to stay away. On the drive, Ben asked his father about the woman from yesterday. Liam told him her name was Sarah, and he was dating her. Ben said he wanted to meet Sarah, and Liam happily arranged a dinner at home that night. At work, Ben met Mallory's sister, Lily. Meanwhile, Abby noticed that all the flowers near the broken area of their house had withered. Later, at the beach house, Ben met Dylan and tempted him with chocolate, saying, "If you see anything suspicious at home, tell me first." On the way back from work, Mallory was insisting on going to the evening party. Just then, Ben received a call from his mother. She said, "I really miss both of you." Hearing that, Ben suddenly felt emotionally conflicted. Then he got in the car with Mallory and her group. The party continued all evening. With drinks flowing, everyone was heavily intoxicated. After a while, Ben and Mallory slipped away from the crowd and sat together to chat. Their bonding deepened. Meanwhile, Abby suddenly woke up to the sound of a baby crying. She got up sleepily to check, but as she approached, the crying stopped. So, she went back to bed. But on the baby monitor, that same mysterious black creature was hiding beside the baby. A little while later, Dylan came and asked to sleep next to his mom. As Abby lay him down, she noticed that the baby monitor camera had turned at a strange angle. When she quickly went to check the baby's room, she saw the child was missing. And just then, a hand suddenly reached out from under the bed and dragged Abby away. Late that night, Ben, drunk, returned home and saw Abby walking hurriedly into the jungle with the baby. When he tried to stop her, Liam showed up. Liam had been worried because Ben hadn't picked up his calls for a long time. Ben asked, "Dad, did you see Abby going into the forest?" But Liam didn't answer. Instead, he pulled Ben inside. He had missed dinner with Sarah. An argument broke out between father and son, and Sarah, feeling disrespected, walked out. The next morning, Dylan was having breakfast alone as usual. But something about Abby seemed off today. She had a rotten smell coming from her body. By noon, Dylan grew concerned. One of his pet rabbits was missing. He was feeling increasingly uncomfortable around his mom. Her behavior had become extremely suspicious. That evening, Liam got held up at work and would be late returning. He first asked Ben to wait at home, but then Sarah offered Ben a ride instead. Ben saw this as a chance to apologize and have a little conversation. Sarah didn't refuse. She even invited Ben over for dinner, homemade, as a gesture of forgiveness. However, as soon as Ben entered the house, he felt like someone was upstairs. Cautiously, Ben took a hockey stick and crept upstairs. He was surprised to see Dylan there. Then, they both heard Abby's voice calling from the gate. From the door, Abby was standing in a strange posture and saying, "Are you home alone? Dylan loves to play hide and seek. Is he here?" When Ben stiffened his jaw and shook his head to say no, Abby replied sharply, "Stupid boy, bring him down, or I'll break your other arm too." Just then, Day arrived, and Dylan rushed downstairs in panic, leaving Ben startled and confused. Later at night, while putting Dylan to bed, Day was told by his son that Mom is acting really weird. Day laughed and said, "Your mom has always been weird. This is nothing new." Outside, Abby stood silently, listening to their conversation. Before going to bed, Day walked into the next room, stood there for a moment like a statue, staring at something, then went upstairs and fell asleep. That night, Ben again sat with a telescope, watching their house. Something definitely had happened to them. Just then, Liam arrived, and when Ben turned away for a second, he saw that the lights in the room had gone out. The next day, when Dylan didn't show up at the beach house, Ben went to their home to ask Day about him. But what Day said left him stunned. "Who are you looking for?" Day asked. "I don't have a son." Ben insisted multiple times, but Day grew aggressive and slammed the door in his face. Before leaving, Ben kicked the doormat in frustration, and saw an inverted symbol underneath it. He took a photo and began researching it at home. That's when he learned about the symbol and an ancient witch associated with it. That's why at the beginning of the movie, this symbol is seen on the Gamble family's door, Abby's doormat, and the trees in the forest. Anyway, Ben notices that Day is behaving completely normal, as if he doesn't care at all that his 2 children are missing. He tells Mallory about the witch and suspects that Abby secretly using the basement is highly suspicious. So, before going to work, Mallory leaves a note for Day, hoping it will remind him about Dylan. But Abby sees this. When Day finds the note and goes to check the basement, Abby whispers something strange into his ear, causing blood to ooze from it. That night, as Sarah is returning from the office, Abby sneaks in and steals a photo of Mallory, which also includes her sister Lily. Abby's body has already begun to rot, her skin is peeling, teeth are falling out. Suddenly, she shows up at Ben's house and leaves the note, as if it were a warning for him. After Abby leaves, Ben breaks the basement lock and enters secretly, where he finds a strange symbol, along with family photos of Abby and Mallory. Notably, Day and Mallory's faces are scratched out. Ben realizes the witch's next target is Mallory's sister, Lily. Ben immediately calls the emergency number and, after informing the police, he asks Mallory about Lily, but Mallory has no idea what he's talking about. Which means Lily is already wiped from memory, she's been targeted. Frantic, Ben rushes to the beach park and sees Abby taking Lily into the forest. Just as he's about to go save her, a local guy named Jess attacks him with some friends, because Ben had purposely messed up their boat yesterday. At that moment, Sarah arrives, and Ben breaks free and heads into the forest. There, he sees Lily trying desperately to crawl out from a hole inside a giant tree. Ben tries hard to save Lily, but the witch drags her away, and Ben hits his head and loses consciousness. When he wakes up, it's already evening. He somehow returns home and sees the police are there. Liam is relieved, but there are multiple reports filed against Ben, trespassing, fighting at the beach, etc., all pointing toward possible substance abuse. Ben tries to tell everyone that Abby killed her own child and Lily, and is erasing everyone's memories. But the argument escalates, and Ben begs his father to check Abby's basement. Liam refuses. He insists that he will send Ben to his mother for treatment. As the police take Liam aside, Sarah advises Ben to regain his father's trust, no matter how. But at that moment, Ben sees Sarah pouring milk into her tea, and remembers she once said she was lactose intolerant. Just then, the flowers near the window begin to wilt, and Ben realizes, this is not Sarah, this is the witch. Ben throws salt at her and attacks with a knife, but Liam enters and breaks up the fight. But now, there is no room for doubt. As police take Ben into custody, he notices Sarah whispering into an officer's ear. Before being taken away, Ben begs Liam again to check Abby's basement. Liam doesn't respond. On the way to the station, Ben sees blood trickling from the officer's ear, confirming his suspicion. This cop isn't in control anymore. Instead of the station, the car pulls up near the beach, and the officer tries to drown Ben. Ben is almost out of breath, but suddenly, the dog from the shop bites the cop, saving Ben. The officer shoots the dog, and just as he's about to shoot Ben, Ben pleads with him to realize what's happening. A mental battle begins inside the officer. He realizes the truth and kills himself. Meanwhile, Liam, now suspicious, decides to sneak into Abby's basement. But he doesn't find anything unusual, until he sees Day entering the house strangely. Following him inside, Liam is shocked. He sees Day hanging from the ceiling, and Abby's mutilated body lying on the floor. Next to them is a mysterious symbol surrounded by candles, and photos of Liam and Day's family, confirming that Ben was telling the truth all along. Suddenly, Sarah attacks Liam from behind, setting the room on fire. Liam tries to escape, but Sarah is about to kill him when Ben appears and shoots her. But the witch isn't dead yet. She rips out of Sarah's body, revealing her true form. Ben and Liam get into the car and drive off. As the fire consumes the house, a photograph of Ben's family starts to burn, revealing a small child in the image, someone who hadn't been visible before. And with this comes a shocking transformation in Ben. And the biggest twist is revealed. On the first day Ben set out on the bus to visit his father, he wasn't alone. His brother Nethan was with him. He remembered how that day, an old woman on the bus saw the drawing on his cast and jokingly asked if he was an artist. But actually, she was talking to Nethan, not Ben. He started recalling every moment spent at the beach house and with his father. All of them included his brother Nethan. That's why, when his mother called that day, she said she missed both of them very much. Only now did Ben begin to understand. Abby didn't call him a fool for no reason. In fact, Abby was never the witch's first target. The witch had been waiting ever since the day Ben came to visit his father. But now, with the pictures burning along with the spine, Ben's lost memories start to return. At that moment, he hears Nethan screaming from upstairs. When he rushes there, he sees the witch dragging Nethan toward the forest. Just then, Mallory arrives, searching for her sister. Grabbing whatever was nearby, they both rush into the forest. Ben knew exactly where to go. Then he told Mallory, "If I don't come back in 15 minutes, burn the whole tree down." With that, Ben entered the hole, descending into a dark underworld. A rotten smell of flesh hit his nose. As he swept his torch around, he saw bones floating in the air. In the distance, he heard inhuman screams echoing from somewhere deep inside. A terrifying dread took root in his heart. It felt like the darkness itself was trying to swallow him. Following the sound, Ben went deeper and finally saw Nethan entangled in the tree's roots. He somehow managed to free him. But just as they were about to escape, Ben saw the witch's monstrous form for the first time. She was chewing on one of Mallory's friends. As the witch started chasing him, Ben shot her, wounding her, and handed Nethan over to Mallory. But just as he was about to get out himself, he heard a girl's cough. Suspicious, he followed the sound and eventually found Lily, lying there near death. As Ben tried to rescue her, the witch suddenly jumped on him from behind. With no other options, Lily used Dylan's nearby camera flash to blind the witch, giving Ben a chance to slash her eyes and run. Finally, with Mallory's help, Ben got Lily out of the pit. Just as Ben was about to escape too, the witch grabbed his leg. Ben struggled desperately to free himself, and Mallory did everything she could to help. But nothing worked. Just then, they saw Liam driving toward them at full speed. Mallory threw salt into the witch's eyes, freeing Ben, right as Liam's car slammed hard into the witch. Several days passed. Due to the trauma of that night, Lily was still under treatment. Mallory was attending therapy too. One day, the doctor asked Mallory. Lily kept mentioning a tree, one that had to be burned. "What tree is she talking about?" Mallory stared in silence for a moment before answering, "No, nothing like that happened. Maybe Lily just had a nightmare." Ben's mother had come to take him home. Liam was given a few days' rest and would stay at Ben's uncle's house for now. So, the responsibility of the beach house would be handled by Mallory. Before leaving, Ben met Mallory and thanked her for everything. Mallory replied, "Don't forget me when you go back to the city." She hugged Ben tightly and handed him a flower, saying, "Lily gave you this. Take good care of it." With a smile, Ben got into the car. Watching his parents getting along like before made him happy. As he smelled the flower Mallory had given him, he paused. It smelled odd. The flower was plastic. Meanwhile, far out in the sea, Mallory was floating on a boat with 2 children. A mysterious smile played on her lips. Because the one who returned with them that night wasn't Mallory at all. It was that cursed creature, the slip-skin hag.